Okay, I'm good. I'm good. All right. I'm sorry. I'm good now. Did you notice on the website, when you go to explore, you just go into, and on MSN, you're going to see, like, people talk about bankruptcy. And don't ask me why. And maybe because we're talking about bankruptcy, that's why they do. We talked about how people file bankruptcy, sort of get away without affecting their life, without affecting things, and then they can just file bankruptcy and it come through. President Trump, and he had filed 6 bankruptcies. They're bankruptcy Chapter 11s, and obviously he didn't become poor because he filed bankruptcy. In fact, he made money out of all of these. So, we want to kind of look at the bankruptcy in the eyes of ordinary people, people like you and me. So after you file bankruptcy, once you did the bankruptcy and you got away from paying people, and after bankruptcy, what else? Like, what does that affect you? That actually is a lot of questions. When someone goes to file bankruptcy, they would ask their attorney, and what's going to happen? And I knew that the attorney already laid it out for you, tell you that, no, your name not going to be on the newspaper. No, ordinary people not going to know. If they are not being affected, why would they even know? And yes, maybe you're going to have a trouble to find a job that is financial driven. You have bankruptcy record. You can't be a CFO of some big company. That background check not going to work. There may be talks like that, but you're still wondering, so what people see, how that affect me. So let me give you a ordinary view of after bankruptcy and what else to you, right? And, let's go through our prepared webinars for you. And what you are seeing right now is the website. And you come to our website and get to know communitycpa.com. And we are a 27 years old company and have 5 different branches across Midwest mainly, because it's only 4 states, is Iowa, Minnesota, Texas, and California. So that's what we cover and at this time. And on our website, you can see that we have this onboarding with us. You can click that, uploading your document to become our client without asking for permission. We always welcome new clients. And if one day we are so big and we are so mismanaged that we can't take any more new clients, then we will disappear from that button. And if you are a well-managed practice, you would never come to a day say, oh, I don't need new clients. How could you say that? That is almost to say, oh, I don't want to grow. No, we want to grow. We are hungry to grow as a firm. So we have that button on for you so you can onboard yourself with us day in, day out, 24/7. You also have that appointment button right there, and the light green, you can have appointment online with our partners. And obviously the other 3 buttons are all for our client. You can pay our invoice, you can log into your portal, you can do your payroll, and we are a full service accounting firm. The more you look at us, the more you will discover how capable we are. And other than that, we do have our YouTube channels. Every talk we have on webinar, it's gonna be on YouTube channel, folks. So you will see. If you don't find it here right away, go to the live button, because this is all the live ones we did right here in the studio. And when we are broadcast on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday and Saturday. So we do 2 English ones. One on Saturday, which is today. I typically is the one doing it. Occasionally, I'm not available, then it will be other partners who does it. So we have Saturday, then you have Tuesday. Tuesday is a shorter one. We just cover some essentials. And on these Tuesdays, for the last few Tuesdays, we're focusing on questions, money questions related to election. So we will bring you election-related topics on Tuesday, and so join us on Tuesday as well. Now, let me share with you our PowerPoint, which is the one that I prepared to bring you close to me so you can see what we are doing. Let me click this button to bring you to our topic today. Of course, I already touched on our firm, and we have 5 branches, and I served on National Taxpayer Advocacy Panel, which this is the committee. This is the Federal Advisory Committee to provide advice for IRS. And I also have 2 books are already published. They're on Amazon. I actually just on my way driving from Minnesota branch to Des Moines, Iowa, I had a new idea about my 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. I am going to do a short version of Appointment with Ying at 8 a.m. sharp. And I'll call that sharp because I'll shrink this 215 pages book down to 35 pages. And that's what I thought I'm going to do that because I have folks who come to me and ask for, a version of 8 a.m. that is just yours and your client's story, and take away the theories about the models, the examples that I put in to support my theories. They felt that is it doesn't need because I already have the real life example in there. So I am going to develop two versions, call them 8 a.m. sharp, 10 a.m. sharp. So that way you get the fun part, the real meat of the book, which is the collective stories, journeys of our clients and my own. So give you the understanding of the business world. Now let's go to the no responsibility disclaimer here. Know that everything, of course, as long as you are getting the service for free and there is no tie to the service, that general understanding you have it. But as long as you pay for a service, the content that service provides you is covered on a insurance the company would buy, just like if you slip and fall inside of Walmart and there is insurance to cover that. So if you slip and fall inside of Community CPA, there is insurance to cover that. So with that said, we just want to make sure that you're covered no matter what, right? So if you take our advice for free, there is no relationship to cover your damage if there is any damage, and hopefully you're not going to trigger any damage to yourself. All right, let's go. And overview of bankruptcy. We talk about bankruptcy. The bankruptcy is a legal process, okay, designed to help individuals and businesses eliminating or repay their debts under the protection of the bankruptcy court. So it is a relief tool for humongous pressure from your creditors. Your creditors are your debts. They give you money, they want you to pay back, and you couldn't pay it, and that is a relief. So bankruptcy is a relief measure for folks. There are different type of bankruptcy with a different impact to business and individuals, right? So the type you choose depends on the eligibility and the purpose of filing. So you may file Chapter 7, Chapter 13, Chapter 11. Those are most common ones. So I kind of covered that in a webinar already. So I will show you right away what that looks like. And the bankruptcy is not a trophy, right? For some amazing business acumen. And I know in one of Trump's speak, and he treated his bankruptcy as a trophy for his amazing business acumen. I disagree with that. And I understand bankruptcy become a tool for him to consolidate his debt, to come out of with the huge debt so he can make more money, continue to do his business. But I do not agree that it's a trophy. So it is a learning tool. Nobody is going to go on the street and have a sign says, I'm so proud of myself, I filed 6 bankruptcies. No one other than President Trump. Okay, so, but you're not President Trump. Don't forget, you're not him. And he is special. He can get away with all kind of crime, but not you. Just be realistic about that. And this is a safety net for ordinary individual, for those who needed that break. And I have clients who really needed that break. I understand it. So, but I do not tell my client that I'm so proud of you, you got your bankruptcy done. And I knew on the other side of bankruptcy are the people who lost their profit, who lost their money-making opportunities, right? So we're balancing in this whole world. I am just hoping that when you file bankruptcy, the benefit to you is a lot greater than the damage to the other party. Does that make sense? So if the benefit to you is lifeline, and you damage that party for a little 1%, this is fair deal, in my opinion. But if it is not so, it is not right to have others to suffer the damage that you have. You have a relief. So I did this webinar earlier, file bankruptcy without affecting your lifestyle's reputation. That is 36 minutes. And, I want you to recognize this logo so that when you go to our YouTube channel, you can look for it. If you type into bankruptcy, all of the bankruptcy talks we had will show up for you, so you will kind of search through them. You will understand what they are and have a better understanding. Immediate aftermath of filing bankruptcy. Of course, it comes with stress and anxiety. Filing for bankruptcy can be a highly stressful experience. And that stress, nobody gonna file bankruptcy because they're doing so great. So that not doing well is already a stress. Then solution on top of the stress is a stress again. So it's really it is really an exercise of your mental strength, right? So you're seeking relief. So many business owners feels a sense of relief after the bankruptcy. That is a fresh start the system allow you to have. So when you get there and you can see if you do this, the overwhelming debt would disappear and you'll have relief. People file bankruptcy for IRS debt. So do you know that if you have IRS debt more than 3 years old, and you can file bankruptcy to walk away from IRS? Am I going to be sorry for IRS did not collect your money? And no, I am not. Because first of all, when you owe the IRS money, I don't know how you owe them. I knew clients who owe IRS money for no reason. And it was filed so wrong. It was such a tragic. And then our client just couldn't get away from $100,000 IRS debt accumulating so fast. And the person doesn't even speak English and the spouse already passed away. It's just crazy stuff out there. In that case, the client, this particular client did not file bankruptcy, but she could. What she did was innocent spouse relief, so it did get away from the debt, but she could also file personal bankruptcy, like Chapter 7 to get rid of the debt. So, those are the relief. It's common. It is, thanks God, kind of relief for those taxpayers. And, when you file bankruptcy, there can be a social stigma, right, associated with bankruptcy. I know President Trump has turned that over a lot, so maybe that is not so much of a stigma like it used to, but I want to say that normally bankruptcy is not a tool, and for you making more profit on the structure, and it is really for the people in need to have a relief to start a new life. So with that said, I want to kind of talk about what type of bankruptcy generating what kind of reactions, right? So chapter 7 is normally called the liquidation bankruptcy. In this bankruptcy, you are allowed to keep your house and you're allowed to keep a vehicle of certain dollar amount, and you are actually write off everything else. So, I personally has experience with chapter 7 liquidation bankruptcy on the creditor side. And remember the story about me loaning $58,000 to Lana. And she was in such a distress that with 5 little kids coming to my office crying about life, and I moved to tears, so write her a $58,000 check to pay the house so she doesn't need to be kicked out by the lender so she can keep her house. So after she did that, she filed chapter 7. I am the creditor, so she write me off, but because the house is exempted property, so she can still keep her house. This is a bankruptcy 7 done to the creditor. But normally, people don't do that to their 10-year-long friend. I just got lucky to experience a very dark side of a human life. It's okay. You know what happened to this particular lady, to Lana? She actually filed chapter 7 again 7 years later. So what does that tell you? This is just not a moral, this is an immoral person living a life. And it just bankrupt people, whoever she borrowed money from. I'm not the only victim, and there is a lineup of victims for her. So, I'm just proud of her that be able to get people to give her money, whichever way she does, either good actress or good negotiator. And how do you know, the one who ran for presidency election is not a good character for convincing people to keep on giving him money, and he just write off 6 times, right? So that's what that is. So when we have people file chapter 7, we are grateful that they got a good chance to redo their life, but we also want to look at the other party. Like I said, and the $58,000 at that time for me is a lot of money. But it is enough money that for me to learn a lesson, but not go bankrupt after that, right? Well, I could go bankrupt as well because I lost all my money. I can't pay for this. I can't pay for that. But it didn't put me in that stage, so I am grateful. So I can afford it, right? But for chapter 7 filers, and immediately your creditor is the one you're hurting. Just look at them. Look at them to see whether they're your friend, your relatives, who are they? So if they are Visa card, okay? If they are IRS, if they are Bank of America, you don't have a character related to that, and you're just writing off a big company, and your little debt worth what? Nothing to them. I really think that process should go easily, should go civilized. But when you are writing off your mother-in-law, or when you are writing off your brothers, sisters, and someone who you call sister for 10 years, that was a little wrong. But for the people who file chapter 7, if you care about the reaction, you should be talking to your attorney to see whether certain people you don't have to file bankrupt on them. For example, your CPAs. Before you file bankruptcy, and your CPA has to prepare your taxes, everything for you. And it would not be a moral decision for you to owe the bills to the CPA firm, then file bankruptcy, put them on your creditor list. That is morally bankrupt. It's not a money bankrupt. But there are people doing that. In my practice, how many? I don't know. Maybe less than 10 for sure. And I can count them if I want to. But most of the time, when we see these kind of things happen, and we try to obey the law, so we cannot collect anymore, they're good, they're clean with us, but we try to learn our lesson as well. So when folks come to us for catching up their taxes and telling us that I need that for bankruptcy, we will work with their lawyers and to see whether that something can be arranged so that we don't have to lose our service fees and at the same time blocking folks from filing bankruptcy, right? Your bankruptcy petition become part of the court electronic record. The reason I say that is your creditor are notified of your filing as soon as you file via this electronic record system. It's called PACER, P-A-C-E-R. Okay, it is unlike that, it is not likely your friend and your family's gonna be logging on to PACER to see your bankruptcy file, but I am wanting you to understand that whatever you filed in that court, it is public information. It doesn't matter which chapter you are in. That's why President Trump's sixth bankruptcy is wide open and is in the court system. So in the olden days, and when you live in a small town, and there is no electronic notification system available, so when you file bankruptcy, the lawyer actually would post your bankruptcy news on the newspaper. So the reason they do that is because they're trying to get the creditors to know you're filing bankruptcy so they can come to the lawyer to negotiate with you. But nowadays, that doesn't really do, the lawyer doesn't do that anymore, and it's more go through those systems. So it is a public information, it is notified to whoever you list. That's why your CPA firm knows that you're filing bankruptcy, because the lawyer listed them on the list. So whatever you didn't pay your CPA firm, you can get away from, I have never challenged whatever the people wanting to file bankruptcy for the amount they owe us. Our firm, we never goes to challenge that. It wastes our time, and also we understand that, if you don't pay, if the service people don't pay us, if our client don't pay us, they went to file bankruptcy. We know that is not an accident. It is not because they don't know. They knew they want to write us off. So if my client feels that way about our firm, wanting to write us off, I would honor that. Just because I believe our relationship wasn't really developed well enough that you care about us, and our relationship wasn't clear enough that you don't do that to us. So whatever reason is all good reason. So we follow the court orders, we do the right thing for our client. Okay, so those type of reaction, I want you to be clear. When you file bankruptcy, what you do to the other party, that Chapter 13 is a lot different. The Chapter 13, it is you managing your debt. So if you owe the CPA firm for $1 million, you would manage that to pay it off in 3-5 years or something. So it is a process of you slowing down your payment and get it paid. And the Chapter 11 is typically for a company. It is reorganization bankruptcy, allows businesses to continue operating while restructuring their debt. So a lot of time, people don't know about the business is going through Chapter 11. You only know the business going through Chapter 11, maybe you are the tenant for that business. Maybe you are the vendor to that business. And because the Chapter 11 bankruptcy lawyer contacted you, want to renegotiate your contract with this company because they are filing bankruptcy 11. Or you got a notice from the receivers because the court appointed a receiver to manage the finance of the company, to get the creditor paid off. So you will get to know that from your connection to the company. But people who are not related to the company would not know. Like Taj Mahal in Atlanta, when they filed Chapter 11, that's Trump's organization, and there's not much of a hoopla about Trump filed Chapter 11. because the company is still running. The Trump water is still selling. The Trump, air is still breathing. So it is like there's nothing changed. A lot of people don't even understand what means Chapter 11, what means reorganization of bankruptcy. So I want to say that to you is because type of bankruptcy will bring different reactions to you. So you want to realize that, the company who filed Chapter 11 would portraying itself as still going on as normal, but behind the scene, let's talk about all the debt I have, I cannot afford, and can we do a new contract? Can we do this? Can we sell a little bit of share, get some equities? So it is a notification to the business connection that I am not doing very well, let's help me out so we don't lose altogether. Right? So that reaction will be different. Consequences. Filing bankruptcy would get several consequences. Discharge of debt, write off my $58,000, I lose it, right? It's okay. And the impact on contract for Chapter 11s, if they have a, say if the shopping mall filed bankruptcy 11, and they will be negotiating with the utility company and with any company that related to the mall, figure out how contract can go forward and how we can pay it onwards. So those contracts may be voided, may be renegotiated. Asset liquidation, sure, if you are doing Chapter 7, other than your house and your car, maybe you say that you have apartment building that you own. That will be liquidated. It will be sold to pay to the debtors that you have, right? And normally business don't go on to Chapter 7, but the of course business can completely go belly up, and it's just done, and nobody get paid for nothing. And of course, if you borrow so much money, you go through Chapter 11. These Chapter 7 is available, totally write off everybody, is available to the sole proprietorship kind of business, like under your business name. Of course, other than these discharge of debt, impact on contract, asset liquidation, credit score immediate drop, credit score. Of course you expected that, right? Your credit score gonna be on the ditch for a while, and often by 100 to 200 points. And it can be challenging to show up your credit score, okay? And the consequences also, once you file bankruptcy, it takes time to rebuild your credit. We're talking about 7 to 10 years. But in my particular personal case, the person filed bankruptcy 7 years right after, because that is what you have to wait to file another Chapter 7. So that's that. And bankruptcy filing can remain on your record for a long time. And it impacts you for some things, not all the things. Your kids can still go to private school, and you can still buy luxury purse and jewelry for yourself, not a problem, as long as you don't borrow again, okay? And you can still go to university, get an education, but if you want to find a job at a CPA firm, at some professional firm, be a financial planner for the future, and your bankruptcy record will stop you from doing that. Just like if you have a criminal record for cheating IRS, then you want to be a tax preparer again. That is not something you should get into. And if you want to, you may not go through your state regulator, and they have a way to stop you with that criminal record. And your file consequences, we mentioned that. Your file is public accessible via PACER, the public access to court electronic records. That's what PACER stands for, PACER. So if someone really wants to look for you, so when we hire employees at Community CPA, and we actually pay for criminal background check for employee we hire, and we pay for PACER investigation, especially if, some of our staff are actually new immigrants, so PACER are not going to have anything for them because they're new. But if you have a history in the United States, and we check on PACER to make sure you have never filed bankruptcy. And if you filed bankruptcy and you want to be an accountant, and I don't see that personality can match. I don't think you can be a good accountant when you are running around and filing bankruptcy on your own, for yourself. All right, rebuild. Yes, you can rebuild. You can make yourself better. And on the finance side, get a secured credit card or loan. The best example would be car loan. When you buy cars, the car dealer actually collateralizes your loan on that car they sold you. So you make a little down payment, then you get the loan, that builds your credit. Timely payment, don't be late, right? And small loans like the paycheck loans and things like that build your credit. And you can always monitor your credit report. Make sure that the credit report is growing up for you, right? Of course, you want to rebuild your mental health and really be, I do know there are people coming out of bankruptcy, and I have examples for you. And finding your own balance. If you're bankrupt because you didn't do a good business, so next time you try again, just be really careful and be really checking on with people who knows the business, and do it with triple care so you don't end up in that boat again. Of course, resilience, right? View bankruptcy as a learning experiences and reflect on what lead to the situation, set realistic goals. Quite a few people I know who filed bankruptcy, they all have a really deep personal reason. And one of them was actually, at that time, was addicted to drug. So obviously, went bankruptcy, but came out clean and rebuilt his life. The other person was addicted to gambling and came out, signed himself out from all the gambling ground around town and move away from those resorts, the Indian tribe resort, those gambling ground, you cannot sign off, you can always go. So move away from there, cannot reach within 8 hours and become clean. So there are people for different reasons went into that situation, then they rebuild themselves, then they come out clean and they build their life again. So the rebuild is not hard. It only takes time and determination. The business rebuild needs strategies. You failed one time, you need to look at the second time. Business viability is really key. Is this a viable business? New business plan. Plan your business in the new direction. And finding options. Even though you filed Chapter 11, you can still get funding. You can still be funded. And this is how Donald Trump can do it 6 times and he still can borrow. There are funding opportunities, not so much on you filed bankruptcy. It is really on the individual, it really on the plan, how visible that is, so how real, and the investors' opinions on what you are doing, right? So bouncing back example for business is not, is there all over the place. For example, American Airlines filed bankruptcy in November 2011. By 2014, they already made their first profitable year. So, 3 years. American Airlines merged with US Airways and formed the world's largest airline. So this despite the bankruptcy fiasco, the company turned into profit in 2014. General Motors, they turned themselves into 3 years' time into a $10 billion profit company. Filed Chapter 11 in June 2009. So you see, Chapter 11, what a great jumping board for some companies to revitalize, to reborn, to become more successful, but they didn't close themselves. They stayed in business. Individuals I know, absolutely. Like the example I gave you, individuals I know come through bankruptcy, become a very successful business. We just had someone who sold the business for $5 million, and so many years ago, maybe about 18 years ago, filed bankruptcy. So these are the example of bouncing back. You have to have a team, folks. When you are running business, you felt like you are in the hole. You felt like you need to do something like reorganization, Chapter 11, or Chapter 13, or even Chapter 7, and you need a team. You need the attorney. You need financial advisor. You need your accountant. And your attorney is there to make sure that to get you through the bankruptcy and to get you on the road to recover. And your accountant is going to get you ready before bankruptcy and to get you ready to move on again after bankruptcy. You should not see bankruptcy to be a cutting point for your accountant. In fact, your accountant, like Community CPA, is your ground to work on before and after. Your financial advisor is always the wings for you to fly. And Community CPA just established its wealth division in 2024 this year. So you can look into our wealth division side of service. We have our own financial advisors for you, and you can learn how to manage your money before and after your bankruptcy. With that said, we conclude the core content of today's webinar. We hope that you realize what is bankruptcy, get that in on your skin a little bit, right? Because when the term is too big and vague, too far away from our small business owners, we don't know what we are talking about. Oh yeah, so what does that mean? 6 bankruptcies. That sounds pretty bad, but don't seem to be bad. What does that mean? So by talking through the bankruptcy, by relating the bankruptcy to you, as with my personal example, and I hope you realize that what we are doing here in this big economy, right? So I don't mind to bankrupt the big player for 0.0001%, right? They don't have to go bankruptcy. But if you file bankruptcy causing another entity or another company to file bankruptcy, this is recession. This is recession. All right, so with that said, we want to not do that. We want to be able to move on, have a good life, and to avoid these kind of chain reaction. But at the same time, if you ended up in the place, no one can pick you up anymore, only use bankruptcy, you do it. Because that is your human right in United States of America for you to do it. So we support you either way. And we're neutral in that aspect of filing bankruptcy. We just want you to understand the impact you have to the people, and you want them to absorb your bankruptcy. Once we go through that, it is all good. All right, desire to know more? You have our partners right here. And it is our tax planning season. And you should think about planning your taxes, folks. I have so many examples. I can't tell you how important that is. If you are paying a lot of taxes in 2023, it's still fresh in your mind, you just paid, you were just aching, and you feel like you're just scraping your ribs and coming up with cash, And that's when you should look at your structure, tax structure, and you should be looking at your tax planning opportunity right here in front of you. And contact us, and we can meet you. You know, it is pretty virtual. When people meet me for tax planning, and most of them are online, obviously because I'm going around our branches from time to time, so it is a little hard to pin me down on a location in way too advanced time. So you find out where I am of those locations, and then we can meet in person. But tax planning is most effective online because you can look at what we are doing. We can pencil in what you are seeing. So it is like you're in the meeting with me and face to face. With that said, one last slide. This is our YouTube channel. It is called Community CPA. Go subscribe to our channel and becoming a subscriber. Then when we post our webinars, you always get it. So I want to encourage you to go ahead, subscribe to our channel. And also here, you have the email address of Catherine at communitycpa.com. And she is the person behind the scene. And you saw her on some of our YouTube channels, but she is the big brain for our content. So she's the one helping me to figure out what would be the best to talk about for this particular time. And now we are so close to elections, so a lot of things related to election are coming up, and money related, like political donations and bankruptcies and things like that. So we study these topics, so we bring that to you. And we are a CPA firm open 6 days a week. Yes, every week we open 6 days a week. And we have teams work Monday to Friday and Tuesday to Saturday. So on Saturday, if you have time only on Saturday, you can find us by calling our number. We will have a real person come online to talk to you. Then we can set you up to meet with people even on Saturday. I will see you again on Tuesday. Am I right? See you.